Alrighty, hi everyone. Welcome to Designing to Meet Building Performance and Decarbonization Goals with Energy Star, and thank you for joining us. Before we begin here, I'm going to run through a couple housekeeping items. There will be a Q&A session at the end of today's presentation, and you can submit questions for the Q&A session via the chat box to the host. To access this chat box, you can hover your mouse over the bottom of the screen and click the chat bubble icon. There will be some polling questions throughout the webinar today. You can also find this in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. The presentation slides will be sent out to registrants after this presentation today, along with the recording of the webinar. And that's it for me, so I will pass things on over to Karen to get us started.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Mike and Sophie, can you guys hear me? Just to do a quick sound check, make sure I'm okay.
Yep, sounding good.
Yes,
Great.
yes, we hear
Thank
you,
you.
Karen. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. I am going to present on designing to meet building performance and decarbonization goals with Energy Star. Next. So, in honor of our upcoming holiday, I thought I'd have a little fun with this. Our distinguished panelists are Mike Barancevic and Karen Butler. Next. And Mike is a member of the Tortured Squirrel Department, and he will discuss how these little rascals can derail even the best energy efficiency plans. He is a brilliant energy manager with over 40 years of experience. He will help you understand how to uncover why we may not reach our performance goals, as well as why we can meet many of our performance goals. He will talk about how Loudoun County Public Schools use Energy Star to help achieve energy efficiency and decarbonization goals. I'm Karen Butler, your Energy Star Boo. I manage the Energy Star commercial new construction, or actually commercial building design, and created Target Finder back in 1999 to help design teams set realistic energy targets at the start of project and to share how to use our tools and resources for commercial new construction and aim for the 80 campaign. Next. So the agenda today is going to be about target setting. We will not go into in-depth strategies, although Mike will tell you about some of the activities that they use at Loudoun County and how they achieve their goals. But my part of it will not be policies that the government has instituted to do certain things. It'll be about how to use our Energy Star metrics when you're in the design mode or designing commercial new construction projects. And then the other part, of course, Loudoun County Public Schools. Mike will talk about the energy and sustainability goals, and then lessons learned how Energy Star was used to help them to address their energy design, to end up earning their stars for the buildings once they are built and operating. And as I was looking through some of the Q&A, I noticed we have a variety of people with A&E firms, consulting engineering firms, government and federal, nonprofits, real estate, small business, and utility energy efficiency sponsors. And again, I'm not going to talk about governmental policies, but how our tools work and how these metrics and what they mean when you're in the design mode. So I want to make that clear. Next. So currently, building performance is currently focused on existing buildings. But guess what? That new building will become an existing building and will be held to the same standards. So why not consider that the targets that you used during design? This has been the focus of Energy Star for more than 20 years as we created design recognition to connect design aspirations with operational performance. Now, others are beginning to jump on the bandwagon with this concept. The building code professionals are now beginning to investigate how to better align the codes with building performance standards. Next. So now we have a quick poll question for you. And if you would put your responses in, so that it says, are you in a jurisdiction with a building performance standard or have a requirement to meet an energy target for commercial new construction projects or for existing commercial buildings? Yes, commercial new construction. Yes, existing buildings. Not now, but on the horizon for either. no for new construction, and no for existing buildings. So if you guys would put in your answers, then hopefully we'll tally up. And as I go through the presentation, we can talk a bit about this. Sophie, can I carry on or do I need to leave? Can they still see this if I continue on? If so, next slide.
Yep, I can just leave the poll open and wait for everyone.
Perfect. Thank you. Next. Okay. Next. Okay. So as my talk, like I said, is going to focus on how design professionals and A&E firms must show how their designs can meet an EUI, energy use intensity, GHGI, greenhouse gas emissions intensity target by designing and delivering more energy efficient buildings and reducing the GHG emissions by X factor by X year or whatever pathway is specified for you to meet. So now you have to not only look at the code compliance, you also have to look at building performance. Next. So what does that mean? So the estimated, so there's two things that are going to be looked at, or there are two components of this operation here. So the first one is the estimated annual site energy use. So that's looking at all of the energy use associated with operating the building. And that includes regulated, non-regulated loads, and all of the other things, set points, and so on, estimating what that energy use is for the building. Then you have your energy code requirements, which specifies systems components, and in some cases it might be CO2 neutral technologies. And these are based on cost or performance rating methods. So what we're going to have to do here now is look at both of these systems efficiencies plus performance-based metrics to get a comprehensive energy profile. Next. So with Energy Star, we look at whole building energy performance relative to the US sample set of peer buildings. Most of you are very familiar with that for existing buildings. Well, guess what? Those same numbers that are available for existing buildings are also available for you to use as design targets. Then, of course, you have your ASHRAE 90.1 or whatever code compliance system you're using, and it's looking at your system's efficiencies. And in some cases, you might even be looking at performance rating metrics. However, everything that's associated with operating the building, again, needs to be considered when you're running your model so that you can get a whole building energy use target. Next. And with that said, I get asked all of the time, if I do 30% better than code, what is that in terms of Energy Star? Well, it depends. It may be an 80, it may be a 75, it might be 100. So it depends on the strategies that are chosen for the project and then the trade-offs that you do to figure out how to make the building a certain efficiency. And that's why having a whole building energy target is helpful to add in, because now you're looking at not only the systems and the systems efficiency, but you're also looking at performance metrics. Next. Okay. So building performance standards are outcome-based policies and laws aimed at reducing carbon impact of the built environment by requiring existing buildings to meet energy and greenhouse gas emission based performance targets. When combined with building codes that regulate performance in specific instances, like new construction or major renovations, building performance are a powerful policy tool that provide a life cycle approach to building performance and can empower state and local governments to deliver on the energy and carbon goals for the building sector. Now, next slide. We are going to talk about this a little bit more. I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about how we have looked at that with Energy Star. And actually, there's another slide. I should probably have put that next. But anyway, onward. So here are a few initiatives and requirements for BPS or benchmarking requirements for existing buildings. Many require documenting the info in the Energy Star Portfolio Manager tool or setting targets to meet the BPS requirements. Some even mention using Energy Star Target Finder or outcome-based codes or the Energy Star National Median Table. But we're going to share with you how these tools and the resources you can use to help set goals during design to align with your performance goals. Okay, so we jumped ahead here. Next. Okay, currently, whoops, go back. Okay, thank you. Currently, there's a disconnect in terms of how we measure the performance of design and existing buildings. So here we're going to go briefly. There's three big ones here: not creating design, a designated energy budget, different criteria metrics for design than operations, and not paying attention to buildings intended operating during design. Next. Okay, so now you using the building's intended operating to inform design decisions is key. Using all available metrics. Next. Okay. And no one metric tells the whole story. And then aligning the targets with energy performance goals. So what that's showing here is all of these different indicators that we use to tell our overall health. Next. Same could be said for buildings, where each of these metrics are meaningful on their own, but collectively they provide a holistic energy profile associated with the building. For an example, a target EUI talks about how the business function drives energy use, or the Energy Star score tells the performance efficiency on a 1 to 100 scale relative to building peers, and so on. Each one of these can help you make decisions by weighing key criteria for selected outcomes. Next. And then putting it all together to help you reach your desired goals. Next. So the next part I'm going to talk about is how we can use the Energy Star tools and how to evaluate various strategies. Next. So achieving your desired goal is not so scary. Strategies to decarbonize your projects, reduce energy use, increase efficiency, on-site renewable CO2 neutral technologies, and then achieve design to earn the Energy Star, which is our monicum for design projects that meet the Energy Star criteria that score 80 and above. Next. Okay. Let's see. So this I'm going to go through kind of quickly, and you can read through it when you get your slides. So the bottom one is the medium project using median, which is a 50 on the Energy Star score. The second one is a project that was designed by an A&E firm to meet a certain goal for their to achieve one Energy Star and two for their clients' request. So we're going to look at the one that says grid is 68% and natural gas 32%. That's my base project. So looking at this project, you can see how you can compare the various trade-offs during design. The lowest EUI is achieved with increased energy efficiency, and then adding on-site renewable energy can help you increase your Energy Star score and decrease your emissions. I encourage you to play around with the tools to take a look at the various strategies that you're using. Next. So this one is 100% grid electricity and 21% energy reduction. So in other words, our I ramped up the energy efficiency in the building. And if you'll notice, a couple things change. The EUI from the grid 68 natural gas 32 was reduced as a result of of increasing my efficiency by 21%. The score changed slightly by a point. It went down by a point. And of course, this can move around depending on the efficiency of the grid and so on. And where you're getting the electricity from will also have a bearing there. Next. So the next one I have 83% grid, 17% electricity, solar electricity, and I still have my high efficiency. So again, look at the EUIs, they stayed the same, 27.8, but look at the cost is reduced as a result of my solar. The emissions are reduced as a result of my solar, and the score is increased as a result of the solar. If you look at the score, which is the blue bar, that's 91, emissions are the white bar, gray and green is the money bar, and then you can see that kind of rust color is your EUI. Next. Last but not least, this is, of course, the granddaddy of all. We're going 100% on-site renewable solar energy. And the way it's evaluated in the tool, score is 100. The source and site EUI are now the same. And then look at the emissions and costs. They're both zero. And as a result of these renewables, we are now not emitting any more energy into the atmosphere. So these are very powerful numbers and powerful tools if you know how to use them. So I'm just showing this quickly so you can get a sense of how you can go into Portfolio Manager or Target Finder. You don't have to log into Target Finder and play around a bit. Next slide. And this is just showing you where one of the architects kind of dumped in this information and they evaluated the strategies for these four systems that are on your left, and then ended up choosing option number two, which was gave them a score of a 95. Next slide. And then again, if you have a BPS, for an example, this is not perfect yet, and maybe in our new world order of upgrading the tools, we are looking to maybe make it where you can pick your own targets or enter your own target. But for now, if you want to have if you have to get an Energy Star score, oops, hold on, okay, all right. If you want to get an Energy Star score, you would enter your information from your predictive model, and it will tell you what your score is for your design project. Next, and then if you need to get your EUI, the same estimated total annual energy for your project, you enter it in, and there in the box you'll see your site EUI for your design project, your design target, and then also the median. Next. And then the best practices are set targets early in design, model energy for the anticipated operation of the building, and then you can use Energy Star metrics to supplement your code and other criteria that you may have. Next. And then lastly, it's an opportunity for the architects, building owners, and the developers to collaborate on their building, on their goals. Next. We also have some documents specify your energy design intent. So it's a document that shows you how to incorporate Energy Star metrics within your architectural language for your project contract supplementals. Next. And then the Energy Star design guidance. And then on the right side is the checklist, tells you how to again incorporate Energy Star during the design process, and it follows along the traditional path of pre-design, charrette, um, let's see, schematic design, design development, and so on. Next. And then Aim for 80 is our campaign to design for the future. Next. And in August of 24, EPA increased the requirement for the 1 to 100 score for achieving design to earn the Energy Star recognition to a minimum of 80 for the design's estimated total annual energy on all commercial new construction and major renovation projects. And I need to say this, and I'm going to say it loud. The score does not apply to existing buildings. It doesn't apply to multifamily, and it does not apply to industrial plants. It's only for the commercial new construction projects because we get that question like, oh my God, you changed it. Next. And to participate in Design to Earn or to submit your project is pretty straightforward. You achieve the 80 score, you verify your energy design intent by the signature of either the PE, the RA, or a professional person. They sign off, and then you submit that documentation to the Energy Star or to EPA. Next. And then your firm can shout out about what you did on social media, create profiles, and promote it on your website. And this is one from Loudoun County that they did, and it says, "We saved enough money to build a new middle school to bring a new middle school off of the drawing board." Next. And this is another one that we showcase for projects that earn design to earn Energy Star and now decarbonize your design effort. We did press release and promoted the projects on our web pages and at conferences amongst peers. Next. And then this is the one when I was saying earlier about the life cycle. This is the first half of the life cycle, bringing a project using Energy Star through design. And you can see it has the charrette, schematic design, design development. If you don't meet your target, go back, look at some other strategies, come back in. And then if the project meets 80 or above, then it gets designed to earn. Next. And then you take it through the rest of the process through building construction, commissioning, and then, of course, benchmarking. And if it achieves 75 or greater, it gets its star. Next. Okay, so the tools, real quickly, you're probably familiar with Portfolio Manager and Target Finder, maybe, but I'm going to just run through the tools a little bit, but I'm going to do it in reference to design. I'm not going to do a training, but just to show you what your outputs are from the tools when you're in the design mode. So we have another. Did we get input from our first question? Did anybody answer? All I see is it up there. Do we have our results?
Yes, we do.
Okay, can we see
Yeah.
before we go to the next one? Ah, okay. Oh, yes, 2 for new construction. Existing 9. No, but on the way we have 5. No for new construction 2, and no for existing buildings 1. So a total of 40, 60% answer. Okay, great. So I'd be curious to hear from you on the ones that were for commercial new construction, since that's what we're focusing on and where you are. So if you want to hit us up in the chat, let us know. That'll be great. Okay, thank you all for participating. All right, next slide. We got one more poll for you. And this is an easy one. Have you ever used Energy Star Tools, Target Finder, or Portfolio Manager to establish an EUI or energy use target for your design project? Yes, no, and no, but I want to learn more. So you all take a look at that one, and then we'll continue on, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Okay, next slide, and Sophie will keep the poll up for you. So you may know about most of these tools: Portfolio Manager, Target Finder, Portfolio Manager, Data Explorer, Building Emissions Calculator, and the Technical Reference. So these are all tools that we have um, for the taking. And in a lot of them, like this Data Explorer or the Builder's Emission Calculator, you can go in and put in information and come up with various targets, albeit greenhouse gas emissions, etc. So these tools are very powerful. Right now, I'm going to do Portfolio Manager and Target Finder and how you use them for design, since those are the two most used tools in the toolkit for now. Next. And so as you know that these tools give you a lot of output. So again, I'm going to start with design. So you can set an energy design target based on whole building energy use. You can document your results from your project once you put your estimated energy use by printing out a statement of energy design intent. And then if you're in Target Finder, playing around and doing trade-offs, shouldn't say playing around, but doing trade-offs, you can save your information to Portfolio Manager once you get to a certain point. And then the next one is the estimated annual energy use. When it does the results and evaluates it, is based on your 30-year climate average. And of course, for existing buildings, is weather normalized. And again, that same 1 to 100 score is the same. And then the percent better than the median EUI, again, is based on buildings of similar type. And then greenhouse gas emissions, it will give you a number that's associated with your project. And then indirect, direct, and total and avoided is in Portfolio Manager for existing buildings. Next. And then here in Portfolio Manager, you can track green power purchases. You can do custom reports. And you can also do custom reports on your design project. So for an example, you'll see in one of my slides a little later on, Loudoun County has a bunch of design to earn Energy Stars in there, where they earn Energy Star for their projects. I think they have maybe about 20 or so of them in there. So you can go through and run a report on just those. Or you can run a report on those and then compare them with the ones who have already started benchmarking once they're built and operating. And then you can share, transfer, and report data. So for those benchmarking ordinances, there's a lot of those that require you to download information, and they send you out a link and you can report your data. You can track changes over time. And then, of course, for your existing buildings, you have water consumption and waste management methods. Next. And then here is the My Portfolio screen. And this is actually from my account, and my account is different from Loudoun County's. I don't know why. I think maybe because I have some privileged rights I have to find out. But anyway, but it gives you your design scores, your EUIs, and basic information if you pick the tab that says design scores. Whereas you can pick energy highlights and it'll show you your existing buildings. Next. And then, like you would do for a regular property, you would go in and add in a property, you put in all of its characteristics. And then after you add the property here, you press the design tab next. And in the design tab, it will open up your property use details. You'd fill it out similarly to the way you would for an existing building. And then for this exercise, I'm doing just doing the target. Here you can select the target, 1 to 100 Energy Star score, or you can pick your percent better than the median EUI. Next slide. And then here for the target, it's going to display what your target is only. So then you can use this, determine if this is what you need for your building performance standard, if it's what you need for your own um, goal setting purposes. And if you look at the right where it says the little red box that says your design target score, when you go into Portfolio Manager Target Finder, you're not going to see that. I made that up. And the reason why I put that in there is because you will see in some cases a score and it's going to tell you that it doesn't do this or doesn't do that. But again, in the New World Order, I want that to be there so you can see what it is. But if you look at the table on the right, down there, it says it's a score of an 80, and that's where your score is going to appear for real. Next slide. And then here's the next part. So now you got your target. You've talked it over with everyone. Now the engineers and the architects are getting down to really looking at designing the building. They're looking at code. They're looking at trade-offs. They're looking at different energy strategies they want to use and they're running some analysis. So now it's like, oh, I have some numbers to input. Let me go put them in here. So here's where you can go do it. I selected natural gas and grid electricity for this exercise, but you can pull down solar, et cetera, et cetera. And for more detail on how to do this part, we have lots of training on that. So I'm not going to go into great detail. Next slide. And now out pops your results. So now you put in your estimated annual energy and it says 87, congratulations, you have achieved or you're eligible for Design to Earn the Energy Star, is what that says. And that is a real screenshot. I didn't doctor that one. And then this is Brembleton. This is a school in Loudoun County that achieved the Design to Earn Energy Star and it got built and I believe it got its stars. Michael will tell us that for sure. And then here's your numbers. You get your design target, you get your design score, your design project rather, which says 87, and it goes and it gives you your EUIs, et cetera, et cetera. And then that last column over there says not available. That's where when you start benchmarking your energy use, it will go in there. Next slide. And then this is the statement of energy design intent. And this is a bankable document. Once this is printed out, it's to for an Energy Star to be awarded for your design project, it has to be signed by the owner, the architect, and then the energy verifier. And I put in a little fake stamp there just to kind of represent that it has to be stamped by someone, albeit a physical stamp or electronic, however you do that. And then that gets submitted to us and we do design to earn. A jurisdiction may also say, we want you to submit your statement of design intent signed by all the appropriate people in order for them to validate that you have a third party assessment of what you did in terms of your energy. Next slide, please. And here's the little table I was talking about that I created for um, Loudoun County back in the day with their design to earns, and it's actually showing you what their design EUIs were and their actual EUIs. And it's a little table, and I went in and you can download the data when you create those custom reports. And I believe that I am at the end of my slideshow, and I believe I have a minute to spare. But before we go on, I want to see the results of our table, and then I'm gonna kick it off to Mike. Okay, so we have 4 yeses, 5 nos, no, but I want to learn more. So hopefully you got some insight today on how to use these tools and understand the metrics and how to kind of go in and do your trade-offs and look at things. And you're going to get a copy of the slide deck. So go back in, you can look at the examples that are in there and just go into Target Finder and have at it. I think it's a powerful tool. It can give you a lot of good information. And even as I go through it now, I learn a lot about what happens when I do certain things. It's like doing your taxes in TurboTax. You take this out, you put this in, you see the little bar, move around. It's kind of similar to that. You can look at these trade-offs and see where you are, and hopefully these will help you understand what you need to hand off to the building owner to operate the building. And if you're all in there together and doing an integrative approach, you can be there together and you can talk about it and make this not such a onerous, risky, and scary proposition. So with that, I'm going to boo out and give it to Michael. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. And before I begin my talk, I wanted to mention that Karen's last slide that showed the design scores and then what some of our facilities were able to achieve, uh, that was basically the graph that gave me faith in modeling. I don't know if I've ever shared that with you, Karen, or not, but I was always a little skeptical about the value of modeling until I saw that. And I'll touch on the benefits of modeling further into the program. So my name is Mike Barnes-Sevich. I'm one of two energy managers here at Loudoun County Public Schools. I have a colleague, Susan Gerson, and we represent many, many, many stakeholders that take part in the achievements that Loudoun County Public Schools has been able to attain. And I really say that because I'm honored to have the opportunity to share information about a program that could not be accomplished by any one group, team, or individual. It's a collection of actions amongst many, many stakeholders who understand the value of what it is that we do and why we do it that allow us to attain success. Slide, please. So my discussion points today, I want to share with you a little bit about the LCPS program, and I believe the info is going to help your organization reduce costs, increase efficiency, and improve operational performance. So there's some key components. I've listed them here today, and you know, we here agree that these are the fundamental, what I'm going to share with you are some fundamental concepts um, and techniques and strategies that help us actually attain Energy Stars for schools that have gone through the design to earn the Energy Star process. Slide, please. I think what's important for people who are in Energy Star now, partners, or considering moving in this direction, is to really understand why is it that we are part of Energy Star? Why do we partner with them? And I have here three key items. One is having third-party verification of performance. Uh, there's a lot of value to that. You can internally talk about how great you are, but when you can point to a partner who can validate and verify that, uh, it it brings a measure of credibility to the information that you're sharing internally and externally. And our partnership began a long time ago, and uh, Energy Star has been around for quite a while, and their long history of success with a lot of other top performing organizations, I think is an important point. Uh, you know, we're in company with companies like Verizon and Home Depot, BOMA International, for those of you that know about the Building Owners and Managers Association, along with, Nissan, Samsung, Colgate, and many, many others. Uh, so it's an important, I think, to point to the fact that it's not just a school system here that's taking part in this partnership. And then for us in particular, we're talking today about the design to earn the Energy Star. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about our journey with the design to earn the Energy Star. Next slide, please. So we started looking at Energy Star prior to 2010. And I remember at that time, we took the data that we had and thought to ourselves, I don't know if this is such a good idea. Because when you become an Energy Star partner, you're kind of putting your information and your levels of performance out there for everybody to see. And a willingness, you're really stepping out there. You're putting your, I'll call it reputation on the line. And you also, as you go through working with the Energy Star program, is to not only be, blessed with accolades, but sometimes you have to accept defeat. And there are times when the Energy Star program helps you realize where the improvement can occur. So in 2013, Michael Lunsford Middle School was the first school that we challenged our architects and engineers regionally to model our buildings and have them perform to a certain standard. Prior to that, we had about 7 schools earn the Energy Star, and over the years that got built up to 70. But the CBEX data raised the bar, making it more difficult for us. And I'll touch on why that's an important point on some strategies that we implemented more recently. So all of our new construction projects, and for those of you that don't know, we've been one of the fastest growing school systems in the nation for the past 20 years. And it's given us the opportunity to look at new designs in a unique way and frequently. And by doing that, we invite you to take advantage of the information that we might have to assist you in the development of your designs as they come along. Next slide, please. So the first thing you have to have is a leadership vision, and from the top, and that's from the superintendent. For us, might be your VP, CEO, chief financial officer, whoever it might be. Having their endorsement is critical to success. Without it, your energy manager will find themselves pitching about the benefits of energy conservation without the support necessary to move things in the right direction. And for us, there's a fundamental statement: every dollar that pays an unnecessarily high energy bill could have been used for a much better purpose, and that's teaching children. Uh, so I'm using the school system as an example for you, but I would suggest to you that every one of your organizations can have a similar statement related to the purpose for what drives your company or organization or governmental entity. Next slide, please. And then specifically amongst the energy team, who the school system relies on to make recommendations, we make sure that we are fulfilling the 3 items that you see here: education, safety and security, and productivity, before we make a decision. So if we're going to have a negative impact on any of these 3 in particular, and there are others, but these are our primary, uh, we won't do it. And the way we look at it is the resources that have been entrusted to us. Um, our goal is to apply them appropriately to fulfill at least these 3 in the school, these 3 criteria within the school system. So, we seek to show stewardship of the funds entrusted to us. And that includes natural resources, not just financial. Next slide. So it's one thing to stand and say we support energy conservation and sustainability in the organization, but our board provided us and approved a policy to secure that. That's a 2-page policy, and here we're sharing with you components of the first page and a component of the second page. And the first page deals with best management practices in design and construction. And then the one labeled there, number 5, is for a commitment by the operators and participants in using that facility to do the best that they can with conservation efforts. So it's what I'm sharing with you here is that these two key components do work hand in hand and are necessary to achieve success. Next slide. Providing you with an example of that success, and if you want to learn more about these facilities, please let us know and we'll support you in that. But in 2021, through the use of design to earn the Energy Star, we had two designs and buildings that have since, well, they were constructed and built at Elaine Thompson Elementary in Hoveter. And I just looked up their scores and they are sitting at 97 each. So something you'll see here with Elaine Thompson is it was designed to reach 99. We're pretty happy with the 97. And that the idea there is going back to the concept of modeling and actual operations. There's a separation there, but it can be done. Next slide, please. So since the beginning of our program, we've used Dr. Dennis Buffington's energy pyramid as we approach our decision-making and efforts. And we begin with energy conservation. And for almost 30 years, the school system focused solely on that. I'm not saying that we didn't make decisions for energy improvement with energy efficiency retrofits and so forth, but we've had and still do have a strong effort towards operations and conservation, not allowing waste to occur within the building. And then we move and think about what energy efficiency improvements we can do. That's retrofits, and the classic case for that is LED lighting. And we're also very involved in demand control through building automation systems, and we're participants in the PJM demand control programs, including their energy efficiency program. And then once a building has attained its lowest energy use possible while fulfilling its mission, we say that the facility is then earned the right for renewables. And we are able to install the right size solar array to match the building loads as they are now. Next slide, please. So I'm now sharing with you just a basic structure and a model for what I was describing earlier. And that is Loudoun County Public Schools puts efforts towards energy efficiency and efforts towards conservation in equilibrium, and it's all supported by policy. Next slide, please. All right, so now that you're all experts in the model and how to approach energy efficiency, we'll ask you to, in the poll, please identify which picture represents energy conservation, and we'll give you some time to do that, and then we'll move on. And Sophie, I'd love to see the results if it's live when they come in.
Yeah. Looks like we have climbing numbers for 1.
Okay, all right. We have experts in efficiency and conservation. So 2 and 3 are representing retrofits. On the left, you'll see lighting retrofit going on. Number 3, you'll see a chiller being changed out. Number 1 isn't the best example of conservation, but on one of our audits, we noticed that the lights were on in all these classrooms. They were unoccupied. One teacher was effectively implementing a conservation action. So this became an opportunity for a conversation with our custodial team about how we could improve a reduction in energy use if we had all the empty room lights being off. So next slide, please. So it's very difficult to move any program forward, performance improvement requires accurate energy accounting, and benchmarking is key to that. Loudoun County Public Schools uses Energy Cap to accomplish that, and we've been benchmarking since 1993. So we have a strong understanding of what each facility needs, and it's just basically a very powerful tracking tool. And we also use this and used it when we first began with Energy Star and utilization of the portfolio manager. Um, and now in our case, we have these two applications tied together. And for us, our bills are actually paid through Oracle with reports that are produced from Energy Cap. And then, here sharing with you just a typical, breakout of our energy use and percentages and what our costs are. Next slide. I encourage anyone who has yet to know some fundamental metrics on their actual number of locations, square footage, meters. We process over 4,100 invoices a year, and having a full understanding of what their spend is. And if you haven't done energy conservation or energy efficiency yet, you're very likely to, I can comfortably say 25 to 30% reduction can be seen uh, very quickly by implementing some of these strategies. Next slide. This, in my opinion, is the number one opportunity for energy savings. And highlighted here in this graphic is our major strategy for reducing energy waste. And that's because 40 to 50% of your total energy use is going to go towards heating and cooling. And HVAC is basically the largest demand on a building's energy budget. So if you're not putting attention to this area, you're missing on the greatest opportunity for savings. I'm not saying forget about lights and receptacles and wasted, hot water and hundreds of other ECMs, but if you're not doing anything and you're thinking about how do we want to start, I highly recommend you make this an area of focus. And what I'm sharing with you here is one of our high schools and how we have broken it up into HVAC zones. We have standard settings for unoccupied times and occupied times, which are clearly defined and communicated to the facility users. And in our case, it's 1 hour before to 1 hour after bell. We're in occupied mode. Nights, weekends, and holidays, unless somebody has communicated to us via some other systems, in our case, Facility Scheduler Direct, we're going to put that building in setback and assume that it's unoccupied. But there's also some activities during occupied times that we think setback conditions are satisfactory. So we spend a lot of time and effort focusing and creating a communications path between the facility users and the building automation systems so that we have occupied conditions where we need them and when, and any other time it's in setback. And the classic case of that is most of us put our homes in setback when we go away on vacation for a week or so. It's a great, and if you're not, you should, because it's a easy savings and it's a adjustment of a thermostat. Next slide, please. Informal poll, threw this in for discussion. You can put this in the chat if anybody thinks they know what's happening here. Anyone? I've had some people kind of wonder what this is, and there are those who know what it is and may have seen something like this. couple of things are being highlighted here. And the first is you're not going to know about things like this occurring in your facilities if you're not walking around your facilities. And we euphemistically call it energy management by walking around. And this is a thermostat, and I've actually seen incandescent lamps leaned up against thermostats to trick systems into thinking it's too hot to blow more cold air into space. This is a case where they permanently have taped in a towel, a paper towel, and when they thought the room wasn't warm enough, they would pour water on the paper towel, tricking the thermostat into thinking it's too cold and actually raise the amount of heat going into the space. So I share this, to let you know if there are, this is an example of human ingenuity, and it's people who may or may not understand what it is the organization is trying to accomplish. But I'm just saying, don't be dismayed or detracted, I guess, by people working to bypass your efforts. And I point this out because it's things like this, and this is a very simplified version, and they can get very complicated on what's happening in some of the complex systems that we work in. But this uh, is the type of thing that can take all the efforts in design and operations and conservation and efficiency and trigger a facility to go from a 75 to a 74 and keep it from earning a star. And what I'm suggesting to you is don't let this stop you. Next slide, please. So in action, a recommendation is if you're not already a partner, become a partner, utilize the tools available through Energy Star. Here, we're putting forth two examples. One is the SETI, it's the Statement of Energy Design Intent. This is a document that gets produced when the design to earn the Energy Star process is accomplished. And then also bringing to you the energy performance scorecard. This is something that can, if you don't know this exists, it's an excellent way to share with schools what their performance level is like. And I really like Energy Star because it takes complex, complicated subject, right? And it boils it down to a 1 to 100 scale, which most people understand. And if you have a facility that maybe isn't performing well, you can go to the leadership, and share, tell them, hey, look, the schools, in our case, the school system took a while to make sure the school was capable of earning an 88. You might share with them that it's only earning a 74 at the time, and that you can work with them to improve the score. And most people are very reasonable when they see these documents. They realize there's depth, thoughtfulness, action, uh, in the organization to help that school attain a certain, or that building attain a certain score. And the 1 to 100, I've seen principals share that at their faculty meetings with encouragement for the school and participants in the school, those that interact with the building technology to do better. Next slide, please. I mentioned it at the beginning, and I'll mention it again. Buildings don't use energy, people do. And it's incredibly important to make sure that you're interacting with all the stakeholders that are using that facility, both during, in our case, standard occupied times and unoccupied times. Uh, we our schools are like little cities. The principal's a mayor, and oftentimes they're operating from 5 a.m. to midnight, especially our high schools. So when it's not for education, the community has access to our buildings for Parks and Rec, uh, religious organizations, and scouts and so forth are all able to use our facilities. We couldn't do it without them. That's the bottom line. Next slide, please. Okay, pop quiz. Is this energy efficiency or conservation in action? Um, so I'll give you a second to look at this and see what's going on. And part of our community, Karen reminded me, are squirrels. And this is a case where a squirrel gained access to a nice warm home in the middle of winter. It didn't care much for the wires that were in the nesting area there, and chewed through them. And uh, what's interesting about this, we learned that we had to put some attention on this, not because somebody said, "Hey, a squirrel built a nest and chewed through the wires that control the HVAC unit." We got a complaint that the energy savings program was causing discomfort in the building. So I put this forth as further encouragement to not let these be a distraction from moving your program forward. It became a great opportunity for education. I think when people saw these pictures, they understood that sometimes things break, and it's not always the energy conservation or efficiency program that's causing their discomfort. Next slide. Wanted to highlight here that once, after 30 years of conservation effort, this and the CBEX data raising the bar for Energy Star, our school system realized that we had to move deeper and further into the energy efficiency phase or portion of the pyramid. And in 2019, we activated a contract with CMTA, or ESCO, and we've been moving forward in phase 12 now, and they've helped us maximize uh, our savings, and also, if you go to the next slide, encouraged us to consider something that wasn't an easy decision to make because of cost and a change to the fundamental design that we had. And so we went with solar and geothermal in the most recent years. Next slide. Here's some data on our solar. If anybody's interested and wants to learn more about our decision-making process for that, you can reach out to me. Next slide. What I like about our energy accounting software and Energy Star is the ability to report in both financial and environmental metrics, all fundamental to our sustainability plans. Next slide. If you do all these things, your organization can be recognized. And the final slide, please. So we're ready for our Q&A, Karen and Sophie.